Greetings, soul family. Amenti, the awakener, Amenti, the oracle here, wishing you a blessed day wherever you are in the world. And I just wanted to pop on here and to do a little live and do a little sharing in response to the video that was posted by Feel Good in regards to Black people being the chosen one and the chosen people. And I know that he's since released a part 2 to that video, which I have had a chance to look at. And I've also had a chance to look at some of the responses and comments that people have made. And I don't judge, because I understand that where we are as a human collective, and awakening and expansion is all about coming into new areas of knowledge, coming into new awareness. And when we're coming into new knowledge, it's going to trigger us. It's going to bring up things in us that challenge us, and also show us some of our prejudices, or show us some of the areas in which we still need to do some work and some understanding. So I invite this particular sharing from Feel Good as an opportunity for us to uncover some of the things that still need to be discussed, and also to learn a bit more about what it means to be a soul having a human experience. So one of the things that Feel Good mentioned in his video was that he received a guidance that said to him that Black people are the chosen people of this earth. And if you look at many scriptures, you can see many spiritual books which talk about this. It talks about the fact that there is a chosen race of humanity, and that those people will go through many atrocities, that those people will be spread to the four corners of the world, that those people will become the footstools of humanity. I mean, if you look in most of the scriptures, if you look in most of the spiritual books, you will be able to see that. And it's also been used as a way for some community groups to justify their demonization and the abuse that happens to Black people, because as far as they were concerned, it was written that there would be a race of people who would suffer and that they would go through these things. Now, what we don't understand was the reason why this story happened. And some of the things that come to mind is the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And what does that mean? We are all here having a human experience, but we are not all human in essence. The earth in itself is a playground. It's a school. It is the world of matter through which many souls get to experience what it means to be in the flesh, what it means to have thoughts and emotions, and what it means to be able to create as the Creator does. And so earth is a school, and this physical body is a vessel. Now, before each soul chooses to come here, it decides a planetary mission. It decides a mission and purpose for its reason of incarnation into this physical body with the source, with the Creator. It determines exactly what it has come here to learn. It determines exactly what it needs to experience. It makes agreements with other souls through soul contracts and soul agreements. It chooses exactly the right genetic lineage to come through in order to fulfill that particular soul mission. And we have a personalized soul mission, and we have a collective soul mission, meaning that we have an individualized lesson that we've come here to learn and master as a soul, something that we've chosen to experience. And then we also have a collective mission, something that we have chosen to be a part of collectively for humanity at a certain period of time. And let me let you know that there have been 4 root races of humanity, meaning that there have been 4 different races of what we call human. And each time those races have been seeded or genetically created, there has been a expansion in the consciousness, or a dissension in the consciousness of those particular beings, dependent on the time in which they're created. How do we know this? Because if you look at the history of the earth, you can see that there's evidence of giants and Nephilims and different types of beings. You would see that there is evidence of meteorites hitting this planet. You'll see that there's evidence of ice ages and different things that have happened on this planet. Most of the scriptures, most of the spiritual books, they talk about this. The only thing is that we as humans have been manipulated in terms of understanding our part in that story. And so we see it as if it's just stories or just myths, right? But myths are the stories that help us to remember who it is that we are. And if you look at African cultural traditions, the oral tradition, and especially the art of storytelling, was the way in which we held our stories sacred, and also shared some of our spiritual knowledge and teachings about what it means to be human. So it should be it should be nothing new to know that this planet has experienced different types of beings at different times who have also interbred with humans on this planet. There is a book that I read quite some time ago by Patricia Corey, and it talks about the roots of racism. And in that particular book, it talks about how the different races of this planet even started and how this planet even started. Like, this is not even the first seeding of this particular planet Earth. It's actually the second seeding. There was an old Earth, there was an old Saturn. And so when you understand the history of this planet, you realize what this planet's purpose is and why it is that we're all incarnated here. These are some of the things that we can go into on other videos and learn a bit more about. And if you do have questions, please do send me in questions and ideas of topics of what I can talk about, so I know how to share this information with you. But the first thing I want you to understand is that we are not the first humans. We are not the only humans. This genetic pool of human that we are living through is not the only genetic pool of human, and also that we are not the physical body, that the human body is a vehicle and a vehicle of flesh and a vessel through which the soul gets to experience itself in this reality and learns the journey that it's come to learn, right? So that's the first thing that we have to understand. The second thing is that the soul has no color. So the soul is beyond color. When we talk about reality and when we talk about the world and the construct that we're living in a three-dimensional reality. 3 dimensions is the reality of matter, right? So it's where thoughts become things. It's where our emotions take form. It's where you can touch, see, sense, feel. Those 5 senses, even though they're originally 12 senses, those 5 senses that we have help us to interact within this world, right? We think that this world is our fixed reality because everything that we think, we see, we can touch it, but it's not, because even when your eyes are receiving these pictures and these images of what you see as your so-called reality, it's actually upside down. Your eyes perceive it as upside down, and then your brain takes the picture and turns the picture around to give you the image of what you see in this reality at this time. So basically it's inverted reality anyway, right? So each soul chooses before it comes here why it's coming here, what it's come to do, what it's come to learn on an individual lesson, on an individual soul lesson, and also how it's come to add to the collective consciousness. So when we talk about people choosing or people who are black, and and people thinking that, okay, well, souls don't choose to be black and black. Okay, so let's help you understand that. We're talking about different levels of consciousness here. And the more that you descend in consciousness, the more rigid it becomes and the more separation there is, because reality is us being able to see the reflection of who it is that we are. We are the divine expressing itself in reflection to itself, right? And in relation to itself. So every time something is created, it goes through a process of separation. We were one organism, which is the creator, one organism. And then we wanted to experience more of ourselves. So we separated and became male and female, right? So this is what we talk about. This is a separation that continuously takes place in order for us to observe ourselves. So yes, ultimately, souls don't have a color. But let's say, for instance, that I, as a soul, have chosen to come and learn what it means to feel, or what it feels like to be oppressed, so that I can learn about liberation, because we learn in opposite. So if I've chosen as a soul to come and learn about liberation and freedom, I would strategically create a life for myself where I'm suppressed. I would strategically create a life for myself where I am, experiencing many struggles, that I'm very, very restricted, that I don't have opportunities for liberation. Why? Because we learn through opposites. So ultimately, if I manifest into a life where I am impoverished, where I am suffering, then my journey through life is to seek liberation and what that liberation means. So for me, on a personal level, that is what my soul purpose is. On an ancestral level, I may have ancestors, on an ancestral level, I may choose to work with a certain ancestral group who have that awareness of what it means to be suppressed, because those genetic codes in my frequency are going to help me to get to my purpose, which is to master and experience full liberation. So I would align myself with an ancestral community, an ancestral lineage genetically. This is before I come into this physical body. I would connect with the genetic lineage that allows me the opportunity to learn those lessons quickly and rapidly, so that I can get to my soul goal, which is to learn how to live a liberated life. I will also maybe incarnate in a community or in a town where there's a lot of, let's say, communism or oppression, right? Where people are not given the opportunities to live in a way of liberation. I may choose a physical body that gives me all of the genetic codings that allow me to live that experience. And then collectively, being a part of that particular, let's say, racial group is going to help as part of a global collective mission. And so a global collective mission that we're working on right now is awakening, expansion, enlightenment, moving beyond what it means to just be human into now being divinity in the flesh, right? And so when we look at the creation of this earth and the first beings that were created on this earth, they were the darkest beings. They were the Negroid beings. There's even some talk that, genetically, our genes also are mixed with Saturnian genetics and Orion genetics, because we're not only just humans, we have galactic consciousness as well. And so when this planet was formed and created, there were certain beings that were required in order to make this place grow. And so the first beings that were created from the sand, from the mold, from the earth, were the Black people. And in their genes, they have the original genes of Isis. So they were the original. And from that original, everything else was created. Genesis, genes of Isis, right? So when we talk about people being incarnated in Black bodies and the Black person being the chosen one, they are genetically programmed with everything that is required to help enliven, expand, and uplift the vibration of this planet. They are the group of people who have been through oppression, had to love the people that they've even created, their own children. They have had to love and watch them be oppressed by them. Because when we look at it genetically, Caucasian people are in terms of genetically, they're the babies of the planet, right? Because when we look at how things descend, it's usually from the darkness, and everything else becomes lighter as this descends. So it's not even about race. It's all about in terms of energy and how energy is flowing, right? And the genetics in terms of the earth's history and the people that hold the codes of what this earth is, right? So when we talk about ashes to ashes, dust to dust, when we talk about our connection, melanated people have a very, very powerful connection with the earth. Wherever there've been any destructions on the planet, we've been called to those places to help build, to help grow, to help replenish, because we are naturally connected to the land. When it comes to healing, we can communicate with the land, we can communicate with the herbs. When it comes to spirit, we know God because our vehicle is genetically designed. Yeah, genetically designed to channel the frequency and consciousness of the divine more powerfully. Our skin is literally made from the same substance of dark matter. And so when we are speaking to ourselves, when we are tapped into spirit, when we are connected, we literally light up. We are genetically stars reborn. The same matter within our blood, within our being, is the same matter that forms the universe. And why is it that they say the Black woman is the creator of all? Because she's the vessel. She is the vessel that gave birth to the first lives, right? Because when we're looking at darkness to light, we're looking at darkness having the potency. When we look at creation, when we look at meditation, when we look at anything, everything starts from the darkness. Why? Because the darkness contains all things. Even when the darkness comes into light, there's only so much of it that you can perceive within the realm of light. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is, as a soul, when you choose to come into this reality, you choose everything, including the color that your vehicle is going to be, because within that vessel, within that vehicle, is the genetic codings that you need for you to fulfill your purpose, is the ancestral experiences that you need in order for you to fulfill your purpose, and also the experiences that you need to fulfill your purpose you're going to get from being in that body, right? So it's almost as if the soul chooses a suit to jump into that's going to help it in the best way to fulfill not only its individual mission, but also the collective mission of humanity. And so if we look at us like our bodies are like batteries and we are light beings, when we talk about ascension, we're talking about raising our vibratory frequency. When you talk about raising your vibratory frequency, you need more energy, you need more light. So our bodies are genetically designed to carry light. We are like batteries, right? So anything we take in, we amplify. And so that's the energy that's also needed to help heal the world. But why is it then, sorry, what, not even why is it? One thing that did come to my mind when I was hearing his video is when we say things like, okay, all Black people are the chosen one, that can also, it can, in the minds and hearts of people, cause some kind of division, because it makes them feel as if they are not, because they're not that thing. And that's also something that we need to address, because as humans, we've been in the position of segregation and demonizing certain people because of what we think and our perceptions of them and where we think that they should be placed in society. And some of these things are based on ignorance. They're based on trauma. They're based on feelings of, well, how come they have and we don't, or why we should be better than them. And those are the things that we have to learn to eradicate, because ultimately we are human beings, and ultimately we're all choosing to experience what it means to be humans in the flesh. But we're also having to work through some of the things, some of the illusions that create this separation and this division for us as well. And also, you might be chosen, but it's also a choice that needs to take place. So it might be that they're the chosen race. However, each one of them also must choose. Each one of them must fulfill their life purpose. They've got to go through the challenges, and they've got to gain the learning and the wisdom from their experiences, because they can also be the route to destruction. When people gain power, but it's based on a foundation of hurt or lack or fear or shame or what other people have done to them, then they end up just projecting that same energy back. And that's also not what is meant to happen at this time. So I definitely agree and resonate with what Brother Feelgood said, but I also wanted to just bring a little bit more clarity to that in terms of us understanding what that really means. No, your soul is not black. I mean, many of us have experienced many different lifetimes, and I do past life regression with clients, you know, like we all have experiences of different lifetimes, because the energy of our soul cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be destroyed. It cannot be transformed. So even when the physical body has been released, the soul still continues. It still has memories. It still has consciousness. Right? So when we have these memories that seem to be of past lives, it's really the soul's memories. But the soul understands exactly why it incarnated here. The soul understands exactly what it came here to do. And the soul chose exactly the right date, the right time, the right family, the right color of the vehicle of the body, the right environment to fulfill its particular mission and goal. We are in the realm of separation. We are in the realm of division, only so that we can get back to the understanding of oneness. The way the soul's missions work is, if I've come here to learn what it means to experience love, then I'm going to create a life for me at first where I don't experience love, where I experience lack of love, where I'm suppressed, where I'm, unsupported, so that through my journey of living, I will come into the becoming and the awareness and the value of what it means to be loved. As Black people, we needed to go through being toppled from being the people who are literally the foundation and the leaders and the teachers, to us being seen as second-class citizens, so that when that power comes back, we understand what it means to be human. We know how to lead from a more balanced place. We have that compassion that others probably didn't have for us. There is a purpose to all of this. And then there is a reason why. There is a reason why things are happening as they're happening right now. And so even before I heard Feelgood's message, one of the things that I was just capturing and researching was the energy of the divine matriarchs, the energy of the grandmothers of humanity, and one of the messages that they said was that, yes, it is time for the Black woman and the Black community to take their place, but they have to be prepared for that. What does that mean? It means that we all have to do the work to become the elevated version of ourselves. Yes, we're here to share with each other, so we can teach others about the compassion. We can teach others about how deeply we connect to God and how to connect to God, because we've had no choice but to do so. Like, the Creator has been the strength that carried us across those seas and through those 400 years of oppression. But we also go even further back into history, we'll see that we as people were the original inventors. We, even when you look at the deities, the Black Madonna, people have come up in roar and said, oh, well, that's not a Black woman. It represents the blackness, it represents the darkness, and it represents the source through which all things come. And so there is an element of rejection of the Black energy and the Black woman that needs to be dealt with collectively, so that we can all be embraced and move forward in this ascension, right? So I felt like I needed to speak on that, because just because you're also Black and chosen doesn't give you a get out of jail free pass. You're still here to do the work. We still have to do the work. But yes, we have the apparatus. Yes, we have the physical body and the vessel. When you really think about it, the genes of Isis, the Genesis, the original seed that was created that then perpetually manifested all of humanity is still running. We can trace that one gene back to one woman, one black woman. So when you think about it like that, genetically, we are all connected back to one source. We are all connected no matter what different colors. And when you look at it as well, black women are able to have many different colors of shades of colors of children, showing that from the one seed, all things come. From the one comes many. We're not out here saying that you just have to respect the one. We're just saying that when we recognize that each one of us has a powerful position to play in this reality that we call life, and we respect each other accordingly, and we work together accordingly, strengthening ourselves on what it is that is our gift and our asset, and learning from each other, that is when you have 360 degrees worth of conscious living, experience, and understanding of what it means to be the divine in the flesh. So it's an experience, is what I'm trying to say to you. However you've chosen to manifest into this reality, it's an experience, ultimately for your own soul's individual learning and growth, but also collectively. We are ascending right now, and so in order for us to ascend, we need to move out of the realm of restriction and suppression and move into the realm of understanding. We have to develop some of those gifts and talents of compassion, seeing each other's perspective, being able to endure, being able to put somebody else's freedom as a high level of priority for you, because these are the things that we've had to learn as black people. We've had to learn through our oppression what it's like to have to really depend on each other. We've also learned what it feels like to let each other down and to turn on each other. But we've also, through all of those trials and tribulations, we've learned what works, right? And so we have to recognize our own story, our own struggle, our own greatness. And we have to do the healing that allows us to redefine and edify who it is that we are. And we do that in reflection with our other community counterparts, and also in oneness, knowing that ultimately we are all human, here having this human experience. But the reason why I wanted to kind of share this knowledge, especially as a black woman, and as a black woman who's been in this spiritual sphere for quite some time, I'm thankful that we are now starting to have this conversation. But believe me, it doesn't mean that there is any separation, especially not in my eyes, because we have to really see each other, and we have to see the assets that each other's brings to our one collective vision, and we can't have any areas of blindness. So if that particular video brought up challenges for you, then that's great. If it brought up internal resistance for you, then that's great. Don't project that out into the world. Work on it, because that's what you're here to do. And if that made you feel empowered and like you're over everybody and, puffed out your chest, you check on that too, because that is also going to help you to understand where your perception and where your power lies. But ultimately, there is an order within the heavens and within the universe, and we are moving into a space of enlightening and awakening. And when we look at our history, it is our black people who have lived through the Nephilims, the giants. It's our black people who have, been responsible for being the ones that took knowledge, that helped to create the pyramids and different things. So we are an ancient civilization of people with ancient codes within our DNA that the world and the planet needs right now for our ascension. But those cells, those DNAs, those ancient codes can only be awoken through our divine work, through the self-healing work that we do, and through the awareness and remembering of who it is that we are as God's in the flesh, and also the responsibility that we take to not only live within the limited perceptions of the I, but to now start awakening into the responsibility of the we. And that means seeing each other for who we are, seeing each other for our differences, but also celebrating what makes us human and what brings us together in oneness. And so I'm thankful, because part of ascension and activation is expanding in consciousness and moving beyond your current perception of what you see life to be, challenging some of those perceptions and expanding into more, moving beyond the limitations of where we are right now and expanding into more, questioning the things that happen, right? There is a big investment in the traumatization of black people. And one of the things that I will always say that God said to me is, how do you destroy the indestructible? By making it think that it can be destroyed, so it will destroy itself. So there has been collective investment in the mindsets of black people being disrupted and destructed and feeling like they're not part of society. And that may be the same for other groups as well. However, there has been a concentrated effect on this particular group of people. There has to be a reason for that, right? There is a reason for that. And it's everything to do with what it is that we've come here to learn and who it is that we truly are, and nothing to do with what you think it's about, which is color, which isn't even real. You know, these constructs have been created by those who seek to separate and disconnect us, but they're also doing a job as well. They're doing exactly what it is that they are designed to do, so that we can have this experience that will allow us to elevate and expand and become that who we're meant to be. So if you do have any questions, I'd love to have your questions or answer some of your questions. If you do have a perspective on this particular topic, then please do, share it with me and let me know what this is bringing up for you. But I thought that it was really important for me as a Black woman in this spiritual community to share some information and insight about the origins of our galactic nature, about the origins of our genetic nature, and the fact that we as spiritual entities come into divine relationship with the source and co-create this whole experience before we even come here. And so there's a reason for that. And once you understand those reasonings, then you realize why you're here and realize why all of the things that are happening, and you become a part of that solution, which is why you are here. Okay, so I look forward to seeing some of your comments and responses. If you do have any ideas of things that you would like me to talk about, or questions that you have that you'd like to explore a bit more, please do let me know, because I am opening up a segment called Ask a Mentee, where I will just answer some of your questions around holistic health and well-being, around spirituality, around personal development, around soul-led business, all of that kind of stuff. And I just look forward to chopping it up with you a bit more on these kind of things. I want to encourage you to be open-minded. I want you to encourage you to be open-hearted. I want to encourage you to question things, even within yourself. And I want you to remember that Ascension is ultimately self-mastery. It's about mastering the self so that you can expand your consciousness and awareness to understand more of what it means to be human. In order for you to fill the cup of your mind and your heart with new knowledge, sometimes you have to pour out some of the things that don't make any sense, or some of those perceptions that no longer serve. And that is why the self-healing, the self-work, the self-inquiry is important. But ultimately, that anything that triggers you is only offering you an opportunity towards deeper levels of learning, loving, and integration. So thank you all for joining me on this live. I hope that you found it informative. I hope that it's brought some insight to you. And again, any questions you have, please do get in contact and let me know. All right. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Much love and have a great day. Bye.